Ever feel like you're just drowning in business buzzwords and you're trying to figure out, what actually makes a company successful?
Oh, definitely. It's easy to get lost.
Well, today we're going to cut through some of that noise. We're diving into a really core concept, corporate DNA.
Corporate DNA, yeah. Think of it like the basic code for an organization.
Exactly. Like, why do some companies just seem to get it, they thrive, while others, well, they just sort of plod along? This DNA concept might hold the key.
It's like biological DNA, right?
Yeah.
That dictates who we are, our traits. A company's corporate DNA does something similar. It defines its unique identity, how it really operates behind the scenes.
It's way more than just the mission statement hanging on the wall. It's deeper, more ingrained.
Totally. It's the fundamental way of being for that company.
And to help us unpack this, we've been looking at a great piece from C Change Consulting. It's called Know Thyself, What is Your Corporate DNA?
Right. And it really gets to the heart of why this isn't just some, trendy management speak. It's actually vital.
So, our mission for this deep dive, we want you to really get what corporate DNA is, why it's so crucial for growth, for success, and importantly, how you actually see it in action within a company.
Okay, so let's start right there. What are we actually talking about, this corporate DNA thing?
Well, that Sea Change document, it starts with a really helpful analogy, actually. It takes us back to biology.
The DNA blueprint.
Yeah. Biological DNA is that fundamental building block of life, carries all the hereditary stuff. Corporate DNA. Well, it's kind of the organizational equivalent. It's that unique mix of culture, values, the way things are done.
Exactly. It shapes the identity.
Yeah.
Who we are and what makes us stand out, as the document puts it. And it's not static. It's about making sure that core character carries on, even as new people come in.
It's like the invisible thread connecting the company's history to where it's going.
And it's active, too. The document says it inspires the way we think, and crucially, it defines expectations of one another.
Ah, the unwritten rules. That's huge.
It really is. Those norms everyone just sort of understands. And here's a key bit from the source. It highlights the qualities that ensure we are, and always will be, different from other organizations.
Wow. Okay, so it's about fundamental, lasting difference.
That's the idea. It's what makes a company uniquely itself.
Okay, I think we're getting a handle on the what. But why does it matter so much? Why should someone running a business or even working in one care deeply about this DNA?
Yeah, the why. That brings us to what the document calls the DNA differentiator. It tackles that big question. Why do some companies just consistently hit their marks, innovate, grow, while others seem stuck?
And the answer often lies
In their corporate DNA, exactly. It's often the root cause.
It's like comparing, a high-performance engine with one that's always misfiring. Same parts, maybe, but the design, the engineering, the DNA is just different.
That's a good way to put it. The document uses this broader term, organizational DNA, too, which kind of covers all those underlying factors shaping the company's personality and performance. Corporate DNA is a key piece of that puzzle.
So organizational DNA is the big picture, and corporate DNA, especially the culture part, is right at the center.
Pretty much. And the document really zeroes in on corporate culture as the core. It defines it as essentially the way things are done, the fundamental values and ethics, and the perception and commitment held by the staff.
So it's not about the fancy slogans. It's about what actually happens, how decisions get made, how people treat each other, the real ethics in play.
Precisely. It's the lived reality. The document is clear. DNA is the thread woven throughout all company actions and decisions. It touches everything.
Okay, so this thread, how does it tie into growth? That's a big one for any business.
Right. And this Sea Change document makes a really bold claim here. It says, the best corporate DNA acts as a value multiplier.
A value multiplier. Okay, unpack that a bit. How does DNA actually increase value?
Well, the idea is that really effective DNA doesn't just preserve value. It actively boosts the value of the people, the teams, even the physical assets. It makes them more productive, more innovative.
So it enhances what you already have.
Exactly. The document even states, every company that has ever grown rapidly has had a DNA that provided a multiplier greater than 1.
That's quite a statement. So strong DNA equals amplified growth potential. Like maybe a DNA focused on collaboration helps teams finish projects faster, better, multiplying their output.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah.
It makes the whole system work better together. It's not just a nice to have, it's a catalyst.
Like getting all the parts of the engine working in perfect harmony.
Precisely. And it's not just about sunny days. A well-structured and resilient DNA, as they call it, helps the organization weather storms. change, rapid growth, conflict, stress.
It provides stability when things get tough.
Yeah, a foundation to adapt and overcome.
Okay, so the theory makes sense, but how does this play out? The document gives some real-world examples, right?
It does, which is always helpful. It starts with 2 scenarios where DNA was front and center.
Let's hear them.
First, there's Phil Gilbert. He needed to shift his organization's whole mindset. They were very process-driven, engineering-focused. He needed them to become more creative, design-led, really focus on the customer.
Okay, that's a big cultural shift, a DNA change.
Definitely. And the second example is Citrix, back in 2009. The CEO, Mark Templeton, saw they needed to fundamentally change their DNA too. Move from being just engineering-driven to having design thinking baked into their core.
Again, transforming the company's basic identity.
And what these examples show, I think, is that whether you're adapting to the market or aiming for a new strategic direction, you often have to consciously look at and maybe reshape your corporate DNA.
So it's not set in stone. You can actually work on it, evolve it.
Absolutely. It can be intentionally developed.
And linking back to culture, the document stresses that it's not just about saying the right things, is it?
Not at all. It hammers home that what actually happens each day in the workplace is what impacts corporate DNA. It's the daily grind, the interactions, the small decisions.
The stuff that happens when the boss isn't looking.
Kind of, yeah. And how employees experience that reality directly affects things like morale, trust, pride, and loyalty. You know, the stuff that really makes or breaks a workplace.
We've all seen it, haven't we? Places where the official values say one thing, but the day-to-day feels completely different, and you can feel the impact on morale.
Absolutely. The document nails it. What people see is clearly what matters.
So there's this critical link between the DNA, the culture it creates, and the company's actual strategy.
Definitely. A supportive culture, born from a strong DNA, it fuels performance and spark innovation. But if your culture clashes with your strategy, well, the document warns it can be disastrous.
Okay, this all sounds incredibly important, but maybe a bit fuzzy. How does a company actually get a grip on its own DNA? See, Change Consulting, the source here, how do they approach it?
Good question. They position themselves as helping companies figure out, keep what's good and fix what's wrong with your DNA.
Like a DNA checkup.
Sort of.
What?
They have this organizational DNA framework. They say it's a practical way to find the roadblocks, the things holding the company back, because of its underlying DNA.
And it sounds like they look at everything, not just the official stuff.
Right. They mention considering both formal and informal elements. So not just the org chart and processes, but also the unwritten rules, the social dynamics, the real way things work.
The whole picture.
Exactly. And the goals. According to the document, building this strong culture around the DNA aims for 2 main things.
Which are?
First, a uniform customer experience. Consistency in how customers interact with the company, no matter where or how.
Okay, that makes sense for branding and trust.
And second, fostering a peak performance culture that's balanced across the whole organization, not just pockets of excellence.
Right, getting everyone pulling in the same high-performing direction. So how do they actually do this? The document outlines steps, right?
Yeah, it lays out a multi-phase framework. It starts with getting to know the people.
Makes sense.
Phase 1 is meeting the various cross-sections of the stakeholders, talking to lots of different people across the company.
Getting diverse perspectives.
Then, identifying DNA questionnaires. So, developing tools to systematically measure the current DNA. Asking things like, how are decisions really made here? How do we handle disagreements?
Then they gather the data.
Yep. Deploying questionnaires and gathering data, followed by the really key part, collating and analyzing data, looking for the patterns, the insights into what the DNA actually looks like now.
Okay, so you figure out where you are. What's next?
Then it's about deciding where you want to go, identifying and prioritizing key DNAs and groupings based on that analysis. Maybe the data shows innovation is strong but scattered, so you prioritize making that a core, shared DNA element.
And then working with the company to lock that in.
Exactly. Helping the client to finalize the corporate DNAs they want to build towards.
And the final, crucial step, making it real.
Absolutely. Deployment of DNAs and driving it across the organization,
Right.
Getting it into every division, every team, every role. It has to live and breathe in the daily work.
That sounds like the hard part.
It often is. And see, Change mentions their edge is providing turnkey solutions, combining theory, practical steps, experience, and their specific DNA framework to make it happen.
Okay, so wrapping this up, we've covered a lot of ground on corporate DNA. What's the main thing you want people to take away from this deep dive?
I think the biggest takeaway is that corporate DNA, even though it can feel invisible sometimes, is this incredibly powerful force. It shapes identity, drives actions, and ultimately it really dictates a company's potential for growth and lasting success.
It's the fundamental operating code.
That's a great way to put it. It governs how the company works and interacts with the world.
And understanding this is so valuable for you, the listener, because it gives you this lens, right? To analyze any organization you come across, your own job, companies you deal with, even ones in the news.
Yeah, it helps you see why some seem to thrive and others just don't. It gets beneath the surface.
Which leads to maybe a final thought for you to chew on.
Go for it.
Think about the organizations you interact with all the time. Your workplace, maybe. Stores you frequent. Service providers. What's their DNA seem to be? What values, what ways of working just feel evident?
Yeah, and how does that apparent DNA seem to impact how they perform?
Yeah.
How you feel interacting with them? What kind of multiplier effect, positive or negative, might their DNA be having?
It's a powerful way to look at things, isn't it? Understanding corporate DNA isn't just academic. It gives you real insight into what makes organizations tick, and maybe even how to help them succeed.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing those deep, unseen currents that shape everything else.